In Mansfield Park, Sir Thomas Bertram embodies the patriarchal, aristocratic structure of English society, characterized as orderly, commanding, and rigid. As the head of Mansfield Park and father to the Bertram children, he is a figure of considerable authority and moral expectation. However, Jane Austen does not portray him as a mere caricature of power. Instead, Sir Thomas undergoes a journey of self-realization and moral awakening. He is both a custodian of tradition and a flawed man whose failures as a parent and moral guide mirror broader social and ethical concerns of the Regency period. Narrative role. Sir Thomas enters the narrative as the remote, imposing patriarch who governs both his estate and his family with a sense of propriety, hierarchy, and duty. From the beginning, he is shown to be concerned with appearances, respectability, and the smooth operation of Mansfield Park. His initial act of charity, taking Fanny Price, his impoverished niece, into his household, appears benevolent. Yet it is marked by emotional distance and social condescension. He insists on keeping her at a lower status than his children, discouraging any sense of equality between them. Much of the novel's early development occurs during Sir Thomas's absence in Antigua, where he oversees his plantation. This physical absence is symbolically essential, reflecting a moral and emotional void in the family home, where the younger generation lacks proper guidance. His departure creates a vacuum of authority, during which the household descends into frivolity, self-indulgence, and moral laxity. The rehearsals for Lovers' Vows, a play deemed inappropriate by Fanny and eventually by Sir Thomas himself, serve as a microcosm of this moral decline. When he returns, Sir Thomas is shocked to find Mansfield Park in a state of disorder. He immediately suppresses the play, reasserting his authority. However, his intervention is superficial. He reestablishes control. Still, he fails to perceive the deeper emotional and moral failings within his household, particularly in his daughters Maria and Julia, and his blind encouragement of Maria's marriage to the wealthy but foolish Mr. Rushworth. This failure is later revealed as a pivotal moment of neglect, with tragic consequences. By the novel's end, Sir Thomas is one of the few characters to undergo genuine moral development. The disgrace of Maria, who elopes with Henry Crawford despite being married, devastates him and forces him to confront his failures as a parent and moral guide. He acknowledges that he had meant everything right by his children, but had been too occupied with worldly concerns and too quick to value outward conformity over inward virtue. In this painful realization, Sir Thomas moves from rigid authority figure to a chastened, more introspective man, one who finally recognizes the quiet moral strength of Fanny Price. Symbolic significance. Sir Thomas functions symbolically as the embodiment of traditional English values, including patriarchy, nobility, hierarchy, and moral authority. He represents the landed gentry's claim to ethical and social leadership, but Austen uses him to interrogate whether such leadership is inherently virtuous or effective. His failure to instill virtue in his children, despite his wealth and status, challenges the assumption that social class correlates with moral superiority. His estate, Mansfield Park, is a powerful symbol throughout the novel, representing stability and social order. Sir Thomas is its keeper, but his failure to maintain moral order within his family suggests the fragility of these ideals. The deterioration of family values during his absence highlights the insufficiency of paternal authority based solely on fear or formality. Austen implies that moral education requires presence, empathy, and discernment, rather than merely adhering to rules and decorum. Broader implications. Sir Thomas's character enables Austen to explore several key themes in Mansfield Park, including the nature of genuine morality, the role of authority, and the dangers of appearance-driven ethics. He is a man who prizes discipline, rank, and reputation, yet fails to foster moral resilience in his children. His emphasis on form over substance, as seen in his encouragement of Maria's match with Mr. Rushworth for financial and social reasons, for instance, leads to a series of moral failures that he is ultimately powerless to prevent. Through Sir Thomas, Austen critiques the limitations of a patriarchal and class-based moral system. His belief that a genteel upbringing and strict expectations are sufficient to produce virtue proves misguided. Fanny, whom he undervalues for most of the novel, becomes the quiet center of moral gravity not because of her environment, but because of her innate discernment and strength of character. This contrast underscores the novel's central argument. True morality is not a function of status, gender, or obedience, but of inner conviction. The transformation Sir Thomas undergoes by the end of the novel is therefore significant. He acknowledges the errors of his parenting, recognizes Fanny's moral superiority, and begins to look inward. This evolution is rare in Austen's male authority figures and demonstrates a potential for redemption within the patriarchal structures, provided there is humility and a willingness to change. Moreover, Sir Thomas's change of heart also reflects Austen's conservative yet reformist vision of society. She does not advocate for the dismantling of the patriarchal order, but for its moral renewal. Sir Thomas is not cast out or destroyed but improved. In recognizing Fanny's worth and re-evaluating his priorities, he becomes a more enlightened version of the gentleman Austen believes should guide society, not just with authority, but with empathy and ethical awareness. Conclusion: Sir Thomas Bertram is one of Jane Austen's most complex male figures, stern, flawed, yet capable of growth. As a symbol of patriarchal order and upper-class morality, he embodies both the strengths and the shortcomings of traditional authority. Through his mistakes and eventual self-awareness, Austen critiques the dangers of superficial morality, emotional neglect, and rigid social structures. Yet she also offers hope that those in power can evolve, and that moral authority must be earned through humility, insight, and genuine care. In Mansfield Park, Sir Thomas's journey from proud patriarch to reflective father mirrors the novel's larger moral journey. From appearances to substance, from status to sincerity. His recognition of Fanny Price's quiet strength stands as a testament to Austen's belief in the enduring power of conscience over convention.